detailed, precise, and informed.
That's DPI.
To a game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. And this one's an interesting one, Tyler. I'll let you go ahead and introduce us.
So as you can see, the Ravens are up. It's 4th and 8, back into their own territory. 11 seconds is a lot of time to run a play. And under a touchdown left, they cannot risk a punt return touchdown. So you can't, it's too long to run a play. You don't want to punt the ball or give the Bengals a chance, so you can't punt out of bounds. What do you do? What do the Ravens decide to do? Oh, they're going to run, and they're holding everyone and tackling
The
everyone.
flags are flying from every direction.
They're literally tackling people.
I mean, this guy's just getting mugged. This guy is and then he just runs out of the back of the end zone.
And so they take an intentional safety to give the Bengals 2 points, but not enough for the win. And because they're the refs the announcers at this point in time think that the Bengals are going to get a chance, but because the Ravens never punted the ball, they never became the defensive team. And the rule says you cannot end the game on a defensive penalty, but you can end the game on an offensive penalty, no problem. So it stands. Time expired. 2 points were added to the Bengals. The Ravens win. Yeah. And this is a call that changed the rulebook, our series this offseason.
It's a mini one, but it certainly did change the rulebook because after this, the NFL said whatever that was is not allowed because of player safety, quite obviously. I mean, holding is a penalty for a reason, and tripping is a penalty for a reason. And I think that the Ravens committed all of them and unnecessary roughness all over the place. And so how did this rule change? How did they outlaw this play?
So the NFL added on a rule that said in basically an event like that, if there's intentional penalties to get a play off, to extend a play's time, the NFL can actually the refs can add 15 seconds to a game. We've heard of a 10-second runoff, but in this case, if that same play happened today, the ref would add 15 seconds on. And so the Ravens would, I believe they would get the ball back to punt on 4th down, but it would be 15 seconds. And if they do it again, then 15 seconds is back on. And at some point, you got to either punt the ball or go for a play. So it's never happened, though. So we don't have precedent to see how wild of a play this would be because it's never happened. Because that's how good of a rule change this was. It prevented teams from ever being allowed to do this. We have seen countless scenarios of a team, maybe taking a couple extra seconds before taking a knee or running around in the backfield and then taking an intentional safety still, or running around in the backfield before they throw the ball away. But we have not seen them commit intentional penalties to kill the clock because 15 seconds would be added on.
And that's interesting that rule had to be added because, in my opinion, it was already in the rule book. If you're familiar with the NFL rule book and its nuances, you are aware of the term palpably unfair act.
Ooh,
and I kind of wanted to discuss this because if the refs were really thinking like this is so wrong that we should do something about it, they could have invoked the palpably unfair act clause, which if the general rule is if an NFL team deliberately does something that breaks the rules and disrupts the flow of the game, they can levy fines, continue the game onwards from and resume play from immediately before the palpably unfair act. They can discard the results altogether or even award wins and losses to teams based on this clause. And so the palpably unfair act has never been invoked before in the NFL. It has been threatened by Bill Vinovich in a game in 2022 when the Buffalo Bills fans were pelting the field with snowballs as hard as they could. And it was causing a purposeful disruption of the game. And a form of the palpably unfair act was levied in 1954 in college football when a bench player from Alabama tackled a breakaway kick returner and prevented a touchdown, the referees actually awarded a touchdown anyway because of the unfair act. But if they wanted to, Tyler, could they have used the palpably unfair act clause in this situation? As it's the end of the game, it essentially broke the rules to prevent the Bengals from having a chance to win.
I don't think they could have. Maybe they could have, but I don't think they should have.
Okay.
Because a kick return touchdown is uncommon. So to say that they would have, there also would have been no precedent to add time back on the clock, with the exception of we're going to completely redo the play, and this time, Ravens, you can't do that. That would be the only way that they could do that. You can't award a touchdown if someone gets tackled from the sideline on a breakaway touchdown. That guy isn't there. He of course scores a touchdown. That's a great situation for it. I don't think this is extreme enough to invoke that rule, but it is interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately I was just playing devil's advocate because I actually agree with you, especially because the NFL made a rule outlawing this. Because had they just decided, you know what, this is a palpably unfair act, and we're going to tell clubs going forward we will enforce it as such. No. They thought it was something in the gray area where they had to make its own rule. So I don't think the NFL thought it was severe enough, and they agree with you, which is interesting, right? But it is interesting to see, if we will ever see in our lifetime the use of the palpably unfair act. I think we will, personally, because somebody's going to do something brash in a Super Bowl to try to keep their team into it. We almost saw it in the Super Bowl when Joe Flacco was, I know what you're going to say.
Say that.
I'll let you say it because I saw
Ooh.
your eyes light up. Go for it, Tyler.
So in Super Bowl, it would have been 47. Super Bowl 47, Ravens versus 49ers. The Ravens had to kick off to the 49ers late in the game. Very late in the game.
Like 8
Basically,
seconds or
like
something.
yeah. So the only way that the 49ers could have won the Super Bowl would have basically been a kickoff return touchdown. And Joe Flacco was telling the sideline of the Baltimore Ravens, if he breaks loose, go off the sideline and tackle him. And it was reported the next day, just the idea of how wild that would have been, and could the NFL have stopped it?
Yes, that would have been a very interesting situation. And it's for that reason that I think we will see it in our lifetime. It may be 50 years from now. We may be 70 recording the podcast, but I think it'll happen.